Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're here. It is Tuesday, and it is an exciting Tuesday for me. It's the first of another month, and I have a new YouTube video out of how I quilted a cutie quilt, as well as a lot of other things to show you today. So leave me a comment to let me know that the comments are working. They sometimes don't work as it goes through the various platforms. But it is glorious. I live in New York. I'm sorry, I'm just looking outside because it's so pretty. We it is no longer July. July in which it started raining and never stopped, and then got hot, hotter, and hottest. But today, hello, Carol, and hello in Wisconsin. Yes, I'm seeing everybody chiming in. So thank you. The comments are working. We had a very hot and a very wet July, lots of rain, lots of heat. And today, the very first day of August, we are on track to tie the coldest high temperature on record, which means we'll be in the 70s, which is fabulous. It's just beautiful. It's wonderful to quilt whenever you're just not so hot. Now, I don't like summer. I have never liked summer. I doubt I ever will like summer. But it's summer and it's hot. So that's just the way it is. But it's nice that I can wear shoes and not be sweating to death and have the windows open and just the ceiling fans running for a little bit of a breeze. More great quilting time. So let's see some of the things I have to show you. Just let me get in and share my screen. Hello, Sandal. It's good to see you here. I know you are on the road and out and about. So let's pull up my screen here. That's the screen I want to show you. So the very first thing to show you is the new color block quilt for this month. It has wrinkles in it. It's hanging from my deck in the photograph. So it is, it's just hanging from the pins, and that's what the wrinkles are in it for. But I had a lot of fun making this quilt. I put 7 fish in here, but there's enough room for 13 of them. If you want to just cover it with fish, there's enough room for 13 fish in this pattern. Or you can make it with 7 like I did, or put in 9, or whatever you like. Let me come back to you. Let's see. Carol, you came in from 4 hours of gardening. Ugh, that sounds like a lot. I don't garden. I'm like looking forward to doing a container garden and to planting some garlic and onions, but that's about it. My back doesn't allow me to get out there very often. Let's see. We have a fan of the fishies. So yeah, those fishies are cute. I had fun with them. And a koi pond. So I was thinking people would make their own favorite type of fish. I am not a fish person. I've never caught a fish in my life. Just never been something I've done. I have eaten fish and they're pretty. So when my daughter was little, I was playing around making some drunkard's path blocks, and I used my leftover drunkard's path blocks, big and little, to make fish. And when my daughter was little, we lived in an open floor plan house, so it had railings everywhere, and I was down in the living room, like only half walls and railings for rooms. I think we only had 2 rooms that had full walls on them, and they were 2 bedrooms, and then bathrooms, obviously, but everything else was lofted and staircases. So I was on the very first floor in the living room, and I'm laying out these quilt blocks, and I only had so much fabric left over, so it wasn't like I could go make more blocks. I've always been one who used all my scraps. So my husband was walking down the stairs, and so he was like 3 flights of stairs up, and there was a opening that you could see through the staircase, the bend in the staircase. There was a railing that you could see down into the living room, which was like a full story and a half below. So my husband came down, flipped 2 blocks around, and it turned out that the fish I had turned into a school of fish in the shape of a fish. So that's the shape, that's this quilt. Um, and my daughter, whenever I always send her pictures of the quilt, her family, they like my quilts. I send her what I'm doing as we're texting throughout the day. She was like, "That reminds me of the quilt you made me when I was little." I'm like, "Yes, it does." So from 30 years later, she remembered the quilt as well. But as I was hanging this yesterday, I noticed one thing. So I'm hanging it on the deck, trying to make sure it's not upside down because I have to walk down a flight of stairs to go outside to take a picture, to walk upstairs to take another picture, and back and forth. And I didn't want to do that more often than I had to. My back isn't always letting me. And I realized the quilt is completely reversible. So your quilt can face that way, they could face that way. The blocks are reversible, which I didn't realize when I made them, I guess. You might have realized it right away, but I didn't. Sometimes I'm slow. Let's see. The fish need whiskers. Would that be to make them catfish? Yeah, I figured y'all would do some really fun things with them and customize them and make them your own. But it's just a basic fish pattern, and I wanted to do one that wasn't applique since the ladybugs were appliqued. Hello in Florida. Let's see what else. Koi, yes. When I had designed this quilt, I originally was thinking pink and purple fish, and I didn't want it to be too pink and purple because that's really its own thing. Now, I happen to love it. Let's see. Koi are goldfish with whiskers. Okay. I like looking at fish, but I don't know anything about them at all. And like when I play online mahjong, they have different fish, and I name them different things based on what they look like. Um, but I don't know anything about them. Those just looked kind of like fish to me. I know when I've gone to Myrtle Beach, if you go to um, Boardwalk at the beach or whatever the shopping center, they have fish that you can throw fish food in. I don't even know what kind of fish those are, but they're big and have some really cool stuff. So I enjoy them. I enjoy playing with them, but don't really know anything about them. So thank you. Um, I have a couple thoughts on how to quilt this. I won't be quilting it for next week. I'll be quilting it for the week after. Um, but oh, for the coloring of them, I was thinking pink and purple was the original design for the quilt. And then I'm like, oh, I can't, what other colors are fish? And I'm like, goldfish. And then I just turned them into a rainbow fish because I like rainbows. I like all the colors. So yeah, I figured people could put in realistic colored fish or whatever angel color fish or stripy fish or whatever you wanted. So, my original plan had 9 fish in it. Um, just making the 9 patch, having 4 open squares in the middle, and then I was playing around to call back to my daughter's quilt. Now, for the quilting of this, I was thinking of quilting flowing water, so I could just quilt bacon stitch like waves going through it. I could quilt clamshells. I could quilt swirls for water. So I know what I'm going to do, but there are a lot of options on the quilting for this. So, what do you think of for the quilting of this? What was your first impulse? I was also thinking I could quilt some fake fish, just like the outlines of fish in the blocks that don't have fish in them. So those were some fun thoughts. That was a fun quilt to do. Um, let's see. Go back to my pictures. So there is the fish quilt. So the next thing I have to show you is a YouTube video that went out this morning. I plan on doing quilting of some of my Cutie quilts. Now, I don't know, many of you know that I design Cutie patterns as well, which are designed from 16 fat 8s. And this is one of my favorite Cutie patterns I designed. His name is Jack Star, and I named him for my dad. Shortly, I designed the quilt right after he passed, and that we're going to have a new little Jack in the family. Not one of my grandchildren, but and not in the family. Another one of his great grandchildren will be Jack, and definitely needed a Jack star. So I made this quilt, and I had a lot of fun quilting it. Um, I have this entire line of fabric. It's Cosmo, and it's mostly grays, but there's grays with little flecks of blue, this aqua tealy blue, and then there's grays with little flecks of pink. So I have both colorways, and I also have background fabrics and yardage. I don't have it all online, but if you're interested in the Cutie pack and want some fabric to go with it, message me and we'll get you the rest of the fabric. This is a pretty big fabric line, so there's a lot of options. The background fabric, let's see. So scrolling down, what did you think? What do you think of those free motion pumpkin seeds? Those were done completely free motion. I could have taken a ruler and quilted each of these curves accurately, but I think it looked just fine done free motion and wonky and all over the place with just some minor markings. I used a 1.5-inch grid stencil, but you could draw your lines in, whatever works. And since it's a 7-inch finished block or 7.5-inch finished block, that worked out. And that is the same design is in the borders and the checkerboard borders. It was a really bright and sunny day, so some of these colors are a little blared out. Just in the lightest of the grays. So I just marked a dot in the center and went and stitched from corner to middle, middle to corner, corner to middle, middle to corner. So it's done completely free motion, but when you look at it, it looks fine. Even though when you look at it closely, you realize everyone is different. They're not perfect at all, but it looks good as an overall. And then going back to the feather class that we just finished talking about, in the center of the quilt, I had done the traditional feathers, and in the setting squares and triangles, I stitched flexible feathers so that there wasn't any background to stitch. So 2 different types of feathers in the same quilt. See, there's the center, and there's the fabric. So you can see this is all gray. It has a little bit of a pink in that light, but it's not. This is all gray and has some of this tealy aqua through it. So I picked an aqua background. Again, it does also have pink highlights in the same fabric line. So I'll stop sharing, come back and talk at you. Let's see. As far as the quilting goes, we'll go back. Oh, people like the idea of the waves. Ribbon candy. Oh, that would be my choice. Bubbles. I like bubbles. I like that idea. And let's see. Oh, going over to the Jack Star quilt. You like the pumpkin seeds. They were done free motion. And again, not perfect at all. But if you think about it, I think I went through this in my first steps to free motion quilting class. Think there are pumpkin seeds in there. Not sure. But I really had fun with it. Oh, Carol, yes, we were on YouTube this morning. Let's see. Janet, the pumpkin seeds look great. Thank you. What color background did I use for the fish quilt? That is a blue-green fossil fern, and I have the bolt here. It's a little far away. I can't reach it. The bolt is just outside the door waiting to be my fabric storage is not in my sewing room, so it was waiting to be put away. But it's a fossil fern that's a blue-green. It's in one of my it's one of the ones I used in my second inning fossil fern quilt that I put out with the feathers in it a couple weeks ago. Elizabeth, fish hooks and worms. I like it. That would be fun. You could thinking of the linear quilting this way, you could also do water grasses, grasses growing up from the bottom. So let me pull up a photo for you. Sandal, hold on. Let's see how far back that photo is. Talk amongst yourself. No, let's give me 1 second. I know where I can pull it up from. When in doubt, go to my website. I'm sure it's on here. Here we go. So I will pull this up and let me share it with you. Did I lose it? A Chrome tab. There we go. Got it. So this is the Fossil Fern Fat Quarters pack that I used, and it was this color right here, which is a very light blue-green, which I thought was nice and oceany. So let me stop sharing and come back and talk at you. So I really enjoyed that Jack Star quilt. I quilted it with wool batting because it really makes the quilting pop. I used lamb thread. The lamb is a cream, gray, and tan. Sorry, my bangs are just this long. They're almost long enough when I don't go curly to put behind my ear, but not quite. I just need a clip in there. I'll be a ponytail as soon as I'm done talking to you. Just by fall, this will be where it belongs. So the Jack Star quilt, the wool batting really makes that just a yummy, yummy quilt. It feels nice and soft, and it's nice and light. I think I used the pink fabric for his sister's quilt, the pink version of the pink in the same line of fabric. So it's a family color. I just love making that quilt. No matter what fabric I've made it with, but I do prefer light backgrounds because it really lets you let the quilting show a lot in the background. It's a lot of pretty space to play in that. So that's you should have gotten a newsletter that has links to all of this. It has links to the free pattern in the Color Blocks class, and that is Color Blocks Goes Wild 2023, and I'll be quilting that in the next couple weeks. So you'll have the quilting for that this month. And there's nothing new in As the Bobbin Turns this week because I put out the YouTube video. So that's one is free for everyone. Let's see what else I have new to show you. Let's go over to the pictures. So I have some new fabric in my sale fabric. So if you go to debbybrownquilts.com on the main page, there's a bunch of $6 a yard fabric. And this is some new Pearl Reflections fabric. So these are pearl drops. And these, this is the dandelion. So those were just added this week. So those are just the ends of a line that nothing else goes with. And I think one of the last things I have to show you is I'm still working on a background fabric, border fabric for my bloom quilt. This is all hand appliqued, so years and years of labor. Last week I showed you that I wanted this this red border for this quilt, and I tried black in between, and it was really harsh. So I'm thinking the pink works better, but now I'm wondering about yellow. So you can give me some opinions on that. And then I'll show how I quilted it once I get that top finished up. So those are the pictures I had for you. But a couple other things that I wanted to show. Last week was a good week. Finished 2 spools of machine quilting thread. This one was a color that you haven't seen yet because that is something I worked ahead. So I'll have something to show you in the future. And this one was another cone of lamb. So I go through the lamb thread. The lamb is selling out. So I did order more. If you message me, I can get you that. I think my website will just not let you buy it if it's out, but message me and we can get that because it's coming in. So it was a good week. I love finishing thread. Don't understand why that's so exciting to me, but it is. And then another thing to show you that I didn't put in the video, the YouTube video this morning. So let's go back to the pictures. I'm going to go back up to Jack's star. So what I didn't show in the video was, oh, look, there's a circle that I made my feathered wreath around. And then when I did, go back, sorry, scrolling. When I did the circle for the feathered wreath, the half circle for the half wreath, the big half circle for the half wreath, those were just lines that were drawn on the quilt. So what I didn't show you was my very precise. This was the circle for the big circle in the center of the quilt. Happens to have been gumdrops. I love chewy candies. So I had the lid in my recycling bin. And this Hello Kitty bucket was the circle for the small. I have other ideas. I have stencils that I could use and rulers. But I didn't want to teach rulers this time. I just drew them and there we go. It was pretty easy. And then I didn't have to change the foot on my machine. So that was my very high-tech marking solutions. Now this can go out in the recycling. I don't have to save that for you anymore. And these can go out in the recycling. But that is what I have new this week. Let's see. Someone's trying to finish a spool of white thread. I have more piecing thread that I'm getting ready to finish. But this last week, apparently all I finished was the quilting thread. I have one quilt in the machine that I'm piecing. It is a quilt using bonus triangles, the leftover triangles from your color blocks. That's what's going to be in color blocks next week because that's a family graduation quilt. And then I have another quilt basted up, ready to put to machine quilt. And that one will be an As the Bobbin Turns. So I have my work cut out for me this week. I have a great book, fabulous book. I cannot wait to add this to my read list and tell you about it. I'm like, where has this book been all my life? Except it's recent. So hopefully it stays as good as it is. Like excellent. Love it. Can safely, so far can safely recommend it to everyone. But you'll have to wait till next week for it. So that'll be a next week's newsletter if that turns out as great as it started. Bonus triangle quilt. Yes, I have 2 of them to make. So let's see, sandal. Excited for the bonus triangle quilt. Actually, I have 2 of them to make now, and a third top is already made. So there are 3 patterns coming up as I'm getting ready, as I'm cleaning out the sewing room and finding things and finishing things. It'll take a while to finish cleaning the sewing room by just finishing everything, but it doesn't hurt. And see, the animal quilts are fun. Thank you. I am having fun with it. And I already know what you're getting next month. I already have that decided. So think pink. Pink is next month. I'm still quilting up a bunch of gray because that's what I have as my leaders and enders. And I'm somewhere in the tune of 70 or so blocks of gray that have been done from as I'm just cutting through my scraps. Good thing I have a lot of quilts that I need to make for people. It's so funny. Someone asked me, a non-quilter asked, why do you make all those quilts? Why do you need so many quilts? I don't think they understand, number one, what I do. And number two, they don't understand that I just love to give the quilts away. I carry a bag of finished quilts around with me and people will get them. So I make them, which makes me happy. And then I give them away, which makes other people happy. Good guess. Not saying whether it's right or not. I'm saying that one is definitely on the list. So it is a possibility, but it could be something else. You have to wait till next month to find out. Only 70? Yeah, I've been sewing. I did a lot of machine quilting last week. I didn't get a lot of piecing done. I have 2 machines face to face, and my piecing machine is right there, and my quilting machine is right there. And I've been spending more time in that chair than in that one. This week, I'll be spending equal time in both. Let's see. So I think I have my list of what to tell you. I think that was pretty much color block, Jack Star, the empty spools, and the clearance fabrics. That's what I got for you. Pink Panthers? No, those would be black. Dead ant, dead ant. Sorry. Silly jokes from my childhood. You love my studio. Yeah, my studio is really messy. And someone wants to come play. It's still, my studio is really messy. But it has potential. I keep saying I'll clean it, but then I end up like right now, today I'm wheeling around in my chair. Today's not much of a walking day. So I'm also not bending and picking stuff up. Flamingos are definitely an animal on the list to be done. It might be for September. It might not be for September. Oh, sorry, Terry, you came through as a Facebook user. Depending on where you're watching this, your name either comes through or it doesn't. If you come through like on my Facebook page or a Facebook group or on YouTube, it comes through differently. Sorry. Creative? Yeah, Carol, my studio is creative. It's also messy. Just because there's a lot in here and it's a great room. So I don't have any storage, any natural storage in here, no closets, anything like that. Lots of windows. Pink frogs. I actually have pink and purple frog fabric. It could happen. Now it all makes sense? Guessing that's Terry again. So this is my fun visit. Now tomorrow night we are going to talk about the first steps to free motion quilting. If you are new and haven't haven't been here as I've been publishing classes, an earlier class I made, we just finished talking about my feather class, 10 weeks of going through the feather class, and now I'm just going through a brief highlight of each of my classes. So first steps to free motion quilting is for home sewing machines. I have not filmed it to be specific to long arms over there, another long arm back there. You can learn from it, but it is geared toward home machine quilting, about pushing the foot pedal, about how to move the fabric. I've never moved fabric before and I don't know what to do. How do I start? This class does that. So this isn't going to be your advanced feather class. This is going to be, I really want to finish my classes. I really want to finish my own quilts. I have a home sewing machine, but I haven't done anything except stitch in the ditch because free motion quilting scares me. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio and on YouTube. It's going to be live in 2 places, and it will also be stored in both. If you want to join Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio on Facebook, as long as you have quilting somewhere in your profile, I'll let you in because there's a bunch of creepy people out there. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night. And I'll show you some of the projects from that class and some of, because you get patterns in the class and you get video learning. In Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio, if you're working through the class, you can ask your questions in the Facebook group. I don't have the questions in the class, and that's actually for international tax purposes. Classes are taxed differently if they are interactive as opposed to one-way communication. So talk to me in the Facebook group, and then you can do the class at your own pace. But it really is working through the lessons and doing them, not just watching them, but doing them, taking the time and learning the different things is you can build your skill and improve in your machine quilting. So I am going to put my book on. I'm going to wheel over to my sewing machine, and I am going to start working on your content for next week. So I hope all of you have a very happy quilt-filled time. I hope the weather is not beating you up, whether it's hot or cold, depending on which hemisphere you're in. Take care of yourselves. Quilt for joy, or garden, or cook, or whatever it is that brings you some joy. Take care of yourselves and indulge in what makes you happy. I will see you again next week. Tuesday afternoon at 2:30 here, and next Wednesday night, and again tomorrow night, Wednesday nights, in my Machine Quilting Studio Facebook group. Happy quilting, everyone.